In this section, we're talking about reflections when we reflect in a polygon, a shape, over a line that they're telling us to use to reflect it. Sometimes they might ask us to do the reflection. Sometimes they might ask us, what is the line of reflection? And so you have to be able to find both of those things. The line of reflection, I call that the mirror line. It's the line that you're reflecting over. And the rules for reflections, which I don't personally memorize these rules myself. You can certainly use these rules, but when I do a reflection, mostly I'm just counting on my graph, like how far is that point from the reflection line, and then I go on the opposite side of that line, the same distance away. If you're reflecting in the line y or in the x-axis, it changes the y value. If you're reflecting in the y-axis, it changes the x value. If you're reflecting in the line y equals x, the x and the y switch places. And if you're reflecting in the line y equals negative x, the x and y switch places and change signs. So like if your original point is AB, then this is what happens. Now you can choose to use these rules like I said, or you can just use a graph sheet and count the distances. A reflection is an isometry. I mentioned that when we were looking at the isometries in translations. Means it's still the same shape and the same size. Here we're reflecting in the y-axis. I'm going to highlight the y-axis. And then reflecting, we count the distance. B is 2 to the left. The new one will be 2 to the right. And then that has a little prime on it. A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. There's A prime. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there will be C prime. And then you connect. And that's all you do. The next one, we're reflecting in the x-axis. The one in the y-axis, it wasn't going over that line, but this one is. So it's good to practice one that's like overlapping the line. Sorry, my allergies are really bad this morning. So on this figure, D and E are currently above the line. Their new ones will be below it. F is currently below it, and the new one will be above it. So D was one above, D prime will be one below. E is 1, 2, 3, 4 above. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 below it for E prime. And then F, 1, 2, 3, 4 below it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 above it for the new one. There's the new figure. So you can see if you fold it along this line, the old and the new should match up exactly with each other. That's a good way to check if you did it right. If you imagine folding along this line, they should match up together. Here it wants us to graph the reflection in the given line. This first one is y equals x. The line y equals x goes through the origin, and then it has a slope of 1. That's called the parent linear function from when you were learning Algebra 1. So I've just graphed several points on that line, and I'm drawing the line in. And now, since this line doesn't go straight up and down, or straight left and right, we need to count the distance to it in a perpendicular way. So we need to count diagonals. B is 1, 2 diagonals. So I need to go 1, 2 diagonals. This is how I do it. Now you could use the rule when you're reflecting in line y equals x, the x and the y switch. So B is currently at -2, 2 is its current point. The rule says to switch those. So B prime would be at 2, -2. And then you can see that's where it is. But as you can see, you can also get there by counting diagonals, which is what I'm doing. And really, either method is perfectly fine. You can use the rule if you like to. So I'm counting from A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonals for A prime. C is 1, 2 and a half diagonals, so half, 1, 2, puts you at C prime. So if you do choose to count, the only thing is just be real careful as you're counting. Okay, this is C. I was confused about if the prime was my point or not. There we go. Make sure your prime is obvious to you and you don't think it's your point. There we go. All right, and then the next one beside here, x -2. If you have a y equals a number, the line is going horizontally through that value on the y-axis. If you have an x equals a number, remember that it's a vertical line going through that number. So you have to remember that. If you're doing this on the test, I can't tell you that as you're working. So the line x equals -2, go to the x value of -2. This line will always have an x value of -2, which means that it's going straight up and down here at this value. And I'm going to graph it. There it is. Remember, things on one side will move to the other side when you're reflecting, so D will move to the right, E and F will move to the left. D is currently 1 to the left, new D will be 1 to the right. Let's count for E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 outside here. And then F is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left for F prime. And connecting for our figure. And there it is. And imagine if you folded on the green line, things would be matching up with each other.